bigay ko muna yung link before para makapag-join kayo. Wait lang. While we're waiting, I'm just gonna give a summary of what we discussed last time. So we started with a discussion on K to 12 curriculum, and at the same time, we said that we have different tracks, diba, and strands in the K to 12 curriculum. So may specialization during the senior high school program. Okay, so for the ones that are able to join, you can join using the link that I just gave on the chat box. Ayan. Meron na tayong isa. And at the same time, for the people who will win this, you will get 50 pesos in load, or you can also get 50 pesos in promo. Ayan. Okay, sige. So we have 3 people here. And again, this is just 10 items. And yung ating ika-cover na topic is about the scholarships that are available in the education.ph site. And at the same time, you have your senior high school academic tracks or academic strand, STEM, GAS, ABM, and you also have your non-academic strands. It's sports, arts and design, and the TBL. Okay, so yeah, we'll wait for one more participant before we start with the game. Okay, ayan. So we have 10 people in the game. For the ones that are trying to catch up, you can still catch up. Okay, I'm gonna start it already. Okay, sige. Among the following scholarships, merit-based, skills-based, context-based, and needs-based, which scholarship is being offered the most by schools and foundations as compiled by education.ph? Among these 4 types of scholarships, is it context-based, needs-based scholarship, merit-based, or skills-based scholarship? Okay. We still have one person not answering. Okay. Everybody has answered already. Okay, may isa pang tao na hindi nakapag-answer. Ayan. So the most number of scholarships offered in the education.ph is actually context-based scholarships, which we will explain later kapag matapos natin yung items. Okay, next question. It's still a scholarship type of question. Which of the following scholarships would you apply for if you have honors and have a position in your student government? Yeah. If you remember, the education.ph sites list the schools and the scholarships that foundations actually offer for both senior high school, junior high school, and college applicants. Ayan, so you can clearly see all of the things that are available to you guys. Okay, so you have very good merit-based scholars or scholarship. Next question. Which of the following scholarships would you apply for if you have siblings studying in the same school? Siblings studying in the same school. Generally, schools would give you discounts or less in terms of tuition if you have siblings or a parent, so on, enrolled or being enrolled in a school. Or kapag military official or government official or OFW yung nanay or tatay mo, then you can also get or be granted some scholarships depending on the foundation that is granting it. So you have context-based scholarship. Ito yung may pinakamarami. Ayan. Explain ko muna lahat. Ay, okay. May isa pa palang question, I think. Ayan. Last question for the scholarship-based programs. Which of the following scholarships would you apply if you bagged a silver medal for running in the 2017 WIFRA? Context, needs, merit. Okay. Let's see. We have one person that still hasn't answered. Nectarine Genevieve. Okay. Sige. For, ayan. I'm just gonna explain the 4 types of scholarship. Seeing that some of you probably do not understand some of the scholarships. Okay, very good. This one is very obvious. So 9 people got the correct answer. Yung context-based scholarship, guys, ito yung scholarship na available sa inyo. Depende sa family background or sa family member mo. So kapag, for example, you have an OFW parent or you have a military official parent or you have a government official na parent, some organizations in the government would actually give you some scholarships or susuportahan kayo, or some organizations, private organizations as well. Hindi lang yon, but schools would also offer you scholarships na still context-based, depending on your family pa rin. For example, if alumni yung tatay or nanay mo, or may siblings ka sa school na iyon. So, nakabase sa pamilya mo yung scholarship na binibigay sa iyo. That's the first one, context-based. And ito yung pinaka-common na klase ng scholarship dun sa education.ph site. You also have your merit-based scholarship. From the idea of merit, this scholarship is given usually to students that either have leadership skills as shown by their experience sa mga organizations nila or sa student government, or this students also have really good grades, right? So merit based on the grades or based on like government leadership awards in the school and so on, or based on the orgs. Ayan. And then you also have skills-based scholarship. This is for the non-academic skills that are still valuable. For example, you are a sports person, or if you have won awards in sports, or if you are an arts person and have won awards in arts or a good artist, then you could get skills-based scholarship, and this is the least common in the Philippines. And you could also have needs-based. So yung needs-based, eto, dapat may certain na na financial background, economic background ka. So this is usually given to students that are financially disadvantaged. So to poor students talaga to yung needs-based kasi nga kailangan nila ng scholarships because they lack the financial and monetary means, right, to go to school. So eto yung needs-based na scholarship. Ayan. If hindi pa rin na-gets, you can just go to the senior high school or education.ph website to look at these things. Okay, sige, we'll go to the next question. What is the Philippine government's senior high school voucher program? Guys, be specific ha. I'm just talking or I'm just asking senior high school voucher program. Senior high school voucher program. Some of you are a bit confused. Ayan. So, three people were not able to answer. But the most correct answer for this one is a fixed subsidy. Only one person got correct, right? I said be careful kasi yung senior high school voucher program, this is not the specific program that gives you on-the-job training, even though it's part of the senior high school curriculum. Hindi yon galing sa voucher program. And at the same time, this is not a scholarship in a strict sense. Right? So even though binibigyan ng pera yung bawat na student, senior high school student ng Philippine government, it still does not qualify strictly as a scholarship. Right? Instead, this is a subsidy or talagang subsidy to in economic terms. So the school or you are given a fixed subsidy, the school is given a fixed subsidy para ma-offset yung tuition payment ng estudyante para hindi masyadong magasto yung mga parents sa pag-pay. Ayan, sa senior high school. And this is offered for all senior high school students and in any school in the country. Okay, next. This is for the private school, syempre. Which of the following students would benefit the most if they enroll in a TVL track? This one also be careful about the not this question. Not this particular question. Okay, sige. You don't need to be careful for this one. This is a bit easy. Okay, we still have two people that are not answering. Sige, so let's see. Obviously, this is 8 people got the correct answer, guys. If you want livelihood skills, if you want to start a business, a farm, anything that has to do with livelihood, right, or mga industrial arts, then you do TVL, Technical Vocational Livelihood Training, right? Which of the following students would benefit the most if they enroll in the ABM strand? If you don't know what the ABM strand is, it's accountancy and business management strand. And our ABM students actually have a subject for this particular subject. So, isa sa mga choices na iyon. Okay, I don't think this person is answering naman. Baka this are accounts. Ayan. So, we have marketing, right? So, eto yung nagma-market, social media marketing. ABM strand is also good for this one. So, 7 para sa Nestle. So, may marketing class talaga yung ABM natin na students if you look at the senior high school curriculum. If I plan to get a job in the UP Los Baños Rice Institute as a crop researcher, want to take up biology classes, I should take the blank strand. If I plan to get a job in the UP Los Baños Institute or Rice Institute as a crop researcher and want to take up biology classes, what should I take? Be careful about this one. Maraming nagkamali sa kabilang class. Yan. Okay, sige. The correct answer is obviously STEM. Hindi siya TVL. Oh, mas marami pa na sa TVL. Guys, yung TVL, if you want to start a farm or if you want to be a farmer, a good farmer, then you take a TVL class because it's related to livelihood. But if you want to be a crop researcher, you need more scientific and academic skills kasi your main job is not gonna be to plant, right? Or to manage a business. Your main job is gonna do research. So you need to take chemistry, biology, physics, so on, kung ano man yung kinakailangan mo dyan, so that you could actually do this specific job. So STEM is a more scientifically, academically inclined course compared to TVL, which is more livelihood, business-sided course, right? Or strand. If I want to get an overview of different senior high school subjects so that I could, with the best information, choose what courses would really interest me in college, I should take the blank strand. UMS, STEM, gas, or sports. Hopefully, everyone's correct for this one. Okay, sige. Some people have also joined, but they're not answering. Okay, tingnan natin. So we have the correct answer is the general academic strand. 8 people got this correct. There are still three people who says yums. Guys, wag kayong mag-yums kapag hindi niyo gusto yun. Kapag gusto niyo na mag-explore kasi you're gonna be bombarded with a lot of humanities, readings, like social science stuff. And a lot of people don't like that. Personal trainers. Yung sa gas, you just need to take units or take subjects from the other courses. So you can take STEM courses, you can take APM courses, UMS courses if you want to because it's an exploratory track. Personal trainers, fitness models, and athletes could all come from the blank track. Okay, so obviously this one is sports, and hopefully everybody got the correct answer for this one, and everybody did. Very good. Ayan. Sige, so let's look at the results. Okay, top 3 is tomato twist, fenugreek, the little, and donut something. Carambola fox pala. Okay, sige. Let's start with the top 5. Who's macadamia machine? This person who did not manage to answer the first 3 questions, but ayun.
Ako na,
Macadamia
Chair.
machine. Okay, very good, Aqua.
Chair.
Hindi siya. Pero good. At least you landed sa top 5. Very good. How about spinach selly? Sino si spinach selly?
Ako yan, Chair.
Okay, Fiola. Congrats. Fenugreek the Little. Sino to?
Ako, Chair.
Okay, Juliana. Good. Tomato twist. Who's this?
Ako, Chair.
Okay, Eva. And then, congratulations. Who's Carambola Fox? This person is not... sino to? Carambola Fox. Si Rube na naman. Okay, congratulations again, Rube. Very good. Sige. So, ayan, we have the game. Let's now start with the lesson. So, yung lesson natin ngayon is to look at the K-12 program. Are there any questions pala from the quiz? Something that you still do not understand or need clarification from, or any questions regarding the education.ph website if you want? Okay, wala pa naman. Sige, sige. So, we'll continue with the lesson na lang. And if you have any questions, feel free to unmute your mic if you want. Yan. So, today, we're gonna look at part 2 of our part 2 of, oh my God, did I just delete? Okay, sorry. Ayan. So, part 2 of our lesson. Part 2 of the part 2 of our lesson. Ayan. Education, part 2, assessment of the K-12 programs and Philippine colleges. But I think we're just gonna discuss assessment of the K-12 program. Ayan. So, Paano natin malaman kapag epektibo yung K to 12? What do you think should we do to know if K to 12 program is effective? Do you have any ideas, guys? Ano dapat yung gagawin? What data sets would you look at if you want to know how effective K to 12 is? Or if it has really been effective? Who has ideas or who can give their own thoughts about this?
Siguro, sir, titignan ko yung statistics ng mga job employment.
Okay, very good. That's one. Ayun. So obviously, one of the thank you, Eva. That's really good, and that is one of the things that, if we're gonna evaluate a program which says that kapag mag-graduate ng senior high school, employable ka, you look at the statistics if the K to 12 graduates, senior high school graduates, really got employed. So that's one, diba? That's one of the exits. If obviously, kapag hindi sila or mas lower yung employment levels nila compared sa college graduates, kasi 'di ba yun yung claim, like you could be get employed or it's really significantly lower, ibig sabihin it's not as effective as we would want it to be. Ayan, that's very good, Eva. And what else? What else do you think aside from employment levels of the senior high school graduates, ano pa yung pwede nating tingnan as a data set with regards to if effective ba talaga yung K to 12 natin? Okay, another one before we proceed. Sige, tatawag ako ng tao kapag walang mag-a-answer. How about
Ano,
France?
ay,
Sige, Eva. Eva na lang. Okay, Eva. Nasave siya
sir,
ni, ni Eva.
naisip ko lang, sir, yung mga number of graduates. Counted ko yun.
Okay, sige tama. Number of graduates. Right? So that is still one indicator kapag hindi lang effective, pero if implementable nga ba talaga yung K to 12. Right? So again, this is an additional 2 years. And if nakita natin that dropout rates have increased compared to the previous years, then there's something that the Philippine government has to do because ibig sabihin yung rate of pagka-dropout, 'di ba? Sa senior high school program has increased compared to the 10-year basic education cycle. That's still one good indicator, 'di ba? That's good. Ayan, very good. Sige, so those are really good ideas and actually these are the things that researchers want to look at. Okay, sige. So obviously, kailangan ma-assess talaga kung effective ba yung K to 12. And the government, the Philippine government has already okayed that okay, sige, we have to review the assessment or attainment of standards or goals of the K to 12 program since it has already been 7 years, magi 8 years na nga since the program has been implemented. So in February 5 last year, sabi ni President Duterte, sige, we have to review the K to 12 program. And February 18, 2020, sabi ng Undersecretary of Instruction, sabi niya na okay, we actually have some parts of the study in place already. So we have partial results, but we do not have the whole, right? But obviously hindi sila makapag-conduct ng study ngayon or hindi nila nakompleto kasi nag-promise sila that they will release the study soon. Right? Pero hindi nila na-release probably because of COVID-19. So, hindi pa nakagawa yung or hindi pa na-release yung both partial na review at the same time yung full review of the impact of the K to 12 program, but probably they're gonna release it 2021 or 2022. However, hindi lang tayo magdadepend sa Philippine government for data. Actual researchers have looked at certain and actual organizations, international organizations have looked at if um, gumanda ba talaga or inassess nila parts of the K to 12 program. So hindi talaga yung program itself but the outcomes that the program are supposed to hit. So for example, sa first one, the K to 12 program says that the learning outcomes and the Filipinos should be globally competitive learners, 'di ba? And could be competitive with global standards. That is the promise of the K to 12 program. And one way to evaluate, an easy way to evaluate this would be to look at how Filipino students perform um, compared to how international students perform, 'di ba? Kasi yun yung promise. We should have a world-class education suitable also or na nakakasabay sa education ng iba't ibang mga bansa, even the developed ones. So the first one, or the sinabi national assessment, pero okay lang yan, national lang naman kasi. Pero second, international assessments. And that's good because in 2018 and 2019, we actually participated in international assessments. And we will discuss one such international assessment and its results later on, the PISA 2018 international assessment. Okay, guys, how do you think Filipino students perform? Guess nyo lang in the PISA 2018 international assessments. Okay, so just a bit of background sa PISA. PISA is a test. Wait lang, nakalimutan ko yung pangalan niya. PISA is, what it means is, wait lang, Program for International Student Assessment. And this is a test that is given to member countries of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. So these are very developed countries. Nung una, binibigay lang to sa Japan, sa US, sa Europe. But then, if you are a developing country wanting to assess your students, you could always ask the OECD, sige, kami din gusto naming mag-participate just to get data. Okay, so obviously we are competing with the standards of students from developed countries such as Japan, Europe, US, Canada, so on. How do you think the Filipino students performed compared to the students from these other developed countries? There were 79
Poorly.
countries. Yes. Ayun. Okay, actually, we performed very, very poorly. And it's not because the Filipino students do not have any potential, but because they were not used to the types of exams that were given. And at the same time, merong mga attitudes yung both the Filipino students and may mga social and economic circumstances kung bakit hindi mas maganda yung performance natin. So just as a spoiler, sa 79 na countries na iyon, second to the last tayo sa math and science, and last tayo sa reading comprehension. And I will show you examples of the test questions later on. So you know talaga kung gaano kaganda yung test na ito at kung gaano ka-effective siya para mag-measures sa mga skills talaga that is really usable for both science, mathematics, and reading comprehension. So it's not just a pipitsugin na exam na who is or what is the biggest lake in the world. It's not like that. Right? These are exams that actually measure skills. So it doesn't really matter how well you know or how many facts you know, as long as you know how to do critical thinking, how to do scientific experiments, and so on, the skills based, the more comprehensive stuff, then you could perform well in this exam. Titingnan natin kung ano yung itsura ng mga exams na iyon. Okay. And then, yung sinabi nga ni Eva, another way to assess this is to curricular, curricular exits to know if the market actually accepts senior high school graduates. So, we're gonna look at track cohort survival per exit from K to 12 to workplace. Kung talaga bang yung senior high school students nakapagtrabaho, 'di ba? Kung ilang percent yung nag-graduate and ilang percent yung nakapagtrabaho. That's one. And at the same time, ikumpara yung first batch ng senior high school graduates along with the national averages. So averages ng kung ilan yung nakapagtrabaho galing college, ilan yung nakapagtrabaho na yung tinapos lang is elementary, and yung sa senior high school, 'di ba? All of those things, 'di ba? Kung ano yung comparison, kung talaga bang may dinagdag or competitive ba siya compared to these other groups. And at the same time, titingnan yung personal or yung national evaluation ng programa. So, yung third one, wala pa tayo neto. Yung first one, meron tayo, pero PISA lang yung titingnan natin. May TIMS pa, pero mas maganda yung PISA for now kasi OECD offered siya. And then yung second, hindi pa talaga nakagawa ng study about sa employment levels ng senior high school graduates, pero nakagawa ng study noong 2018, yung Philippine Institute of Development Studies, if the firms and the companies are willing to employ senior high school graduates. And if the senior high school graduates felt that they are able to get jobs um, after senior high school and what they're planning to do. So makikita natin yung attitudes or yung insights ng senior high school graduating students kapag ano yung gagawin nila, magtatrabaho ba sila or pupunta ng college or if they're gonna work and study. And then titingnan natin what what is the willingness of the employers from firms to actually employ senior high school graduates. So 2018 pa to, but hindi pa natin na-update yung ibang studies. Okay, so tingnan natin. Yung sources natin is PISA, a report from PISA. And then at the same time, you also have this research from the Philippine Institute of Development Studies, senior high school graduates. Hindi ko na makita yung paper, but you can always click it. So the first one, evaluating the K-12 program based on the attainment of competencies and if talaga bang competitive tayo compared sa ibang students, lalo na sa OECD, 'di ba, with these countries. Ayan, so one way to evaluate the quality of the Philippine education system would be through tests. And we actually did this in 2018. We participated in the program for international student assessments because we wanted to set a benchmark or a baseline. Dito tayo nag-start and then titignan natin if nag-improve tayo sa next na program for international student assessment. So this is a worldwide program. Hindi siya worldwide talaga na they require all the countries to participate. Usually this is done by OECD countries, but the Philippines requested that they participate. And a total of 79 countries participated. And yung data set nila is students, 15-year-old students. So grade 10, grade 9, grade 10 students along those lines. Ayan. Measuring 15-year-old students' academic performance in mathematics, science, as well as reading or reading comprehension. So as you can see, which are the countries that perform well? They scored above 500 in an exam with 600 points. The green ones. Can you give examples of the countries that attained above 500 out of 600 na makikita sa mapa?
Japan.
Japan, very good. Who do you think
Canada.
topped? Ano pa yung iba?
China.
Canada.
Yes,
Canada.
Canada. Yeah. Weirdly. Weirdly. Ano yung weird para sa inyo guys? Something about a really rich country not performing as well as they wanted here. So green is above 500. Ano yung medyo like surprising that this really rich country did not really perform as well as they wanted.
US.
Right, correct. So US and also Australia, right? So 430 to 500. Instead, countries in Europe, nakikita natin, not even all countries in Europe got green. So you have Canada, countries in Europe. Syempre your mga your mga yung countries doon sa taas ng Europe, you have Sweden, Norway, Switzerland, lahat-lahat yan sila, Japan, and China got the highest scores in all in math and science. So it's still a developing country, but their people, their labor, their students are really, really they're beastly. And so the Philippines ranked 78 um, in math and science. We were only below or we were only above another country which is Dominican Republic, and we ranked 79 in our reading comprehension na class. So papakita ko na lang muna sa inyo yung OECD na country note so that you will get more of the ideas of the results first before we actually wait lang. Bakit hindi siya Tapos pakita ko sa inyo yung example ng exam question so that you know what is being assessed. Wait lang. Hindi siya nag-delete. Wait lang. Okay, so yung weird wait lang. The girls performed higher compared to the boys in all subjects maliban sa math and sa science where both performed the same, but ayan. But like sa ibang countries, this is a bit abnormal kasi mas mataas palagi yung boys sa math. It was only in the Philippines that the boys performed worse. Ayan pa, aside from that, makikita natin ito yung report talaga. We will look at the factors and the key findings. Ayan, 15 years old in the Philippines scored lower in reading, mathematics, and science than those in most countries. Ayan. And we could see that 353 and 357 points. Ipapakita ko sa inyo, it's an example of a question that is level 4, which is around 400 plus points na. At, hindi, 500 plus, basta, mataas yung points doon. so that pakita ko sa inyo kung ano yung kanilang pagle-level. Sa atin, we could not attain even a level 2. So, konting-konti lang ng students, 20%, around 20%, could attain level 2 hanggang level 6 kasi. Ayun. Papakita ko sa inyo later. Yan. Over 80% of students in the Philippines did not reach a minimum level of proficiency in reading. I'll let you see what they look at kapag sa reading comprehension later. And eto pa yung, it is important to interpret these findings in context. So ano yung context? So bakit ang baba ng Filipino students? First one, they gave certain reasons. Education spending per student in the Philippines is the lowest among all PISA participating countries. Ibig sabihin tayong pinakamababa na spending per student sa 79 na countries na iyon. So makikita natin talaga, dehado na talaga tayo. And alam naman natin, on the individual level, students that are socioeconomically advantaged perform better than the poor students. This hindi to indicator ng katalinuhan, hindi to indicator ng mastery, hindi to indicator ng kagalingan. It's just that if you have more money, you tend to perform better in school. And at the same time, if you have or if you put more money as a country in each student, you tend to perform better. Right? Ayan. So, uh, yung Indonesia, 7% more. I don't know the specific, pero 83% lower than OECD average. And syempre, mas mataas yung kailang spending per student compared to the Philippines. Yan. So, they performed better than the Philippines. Ayan. So students in the Dominican Republic scored at the same or lower than students in the Philippines, pero expenditure per student in the Dominican Republic was 3 times greater than the Philippines. So even there is a really big relation between money spent per student and performance of the student. But at the same time, it's not an exact correlation talaga, 'di ba? Hindi siya exact na causation pala na lahat ng countries na nagsuspend a lot of their students have more performance. It generally is the pattern though. And so it's still better to spend more per student compared to less, right? Kasi nga mas marami yung mga countries when they spend more on students, generally the students will perform well better. And we could also see that eto, among the countries, 94% kasi English yung ginamit na pag-test of 15-year-old students in the Philippines speak a language other than the test language. So tayo yung may second na pinakamarami kung saan yung language na ginamit sa test is hindi yung ginagamit sa bahay. Tapos yung pinaka mataas is Lebanon, 98%, pero mas mataas pa rin yung performance ng Lebanon sa atin. And then aside from that, this is actually interesting, may gender gap din ayan. So alam naman natin to, mas mataas yung performance ng mga richer students kaysa sa poor students kasi it was not only a test, they also surveyed and look at the data sets. And the girls performed better than the boys in mathematics and in reading comprehension. Sa mathematics, generally yung trend is that mas mataas yung performance ng lalaki sa babae sa ibang bansa, pero sa Pilipinas hindi. So, lahat ng subjects, yung girls nag-perform better, maliban sa science kung saan similar lang yung performance nila. So, it's a good thing to look at further research kung bakit sa math and sa reading comprehension, mas performers yung boys, ay yung girls, and bakit sa science pare-pareho lang. There must be something there, diba? Ayan. And at the same time, makikita natin, yung Filipino students, they report more instances of being bullied compared to the students in other schools, which means that the environment in school is not as good. And eto yung I think pinaka-important. Ayan. In most education systems, including the Philippines, students who hold a growth mindset, kapag sinasabi na growth mindset, nag-disagree ka sa statement, you do not believe in the statement that your intelligence is fixed and cannot be changed. So, hindi ka naniniwala doon. Sa Pilipinas, ang raming students naniniwala dito. 63%, which is above 2 times, more than 2 times above the average of the other OECD countries. 31% of students only believe the statement. So, the bigger majority of the students in these countries believe that intelligence could be grown and intelligence could be developed and maximized, right? Sa atin, nag-a-agree, 63% ng mga students na sinurvey nila na gano'n, na hindi na talaga puwedeng mabago. So, naniniwala yung iba na bobo sila at magiging bobo sila, 'di ba? And then ayun, makikita natin if you have a positive growth or if you have a growth mindset, generally you perform better, 'di ba? And at the same time, mas mataas yung ating reported na ideas, 'di ba, about failure. So 72% agreed or strongly agreed that when they fail, they worry about what others think of them. In the OECD average, 56% lang of students. So mas mataas yung reported rates of fear of failure ng mga Filipino students. Okay, so generally failure or fear of failure could be also associated with being paralyzed, 'di ba? Na hindi talaga have you tried studying for a subject kung saan wala kang maintindihan, yung naiintindihan mo lang is takot ka na bumagsak, pero wala ka talagang naintindihan? Ano yung resulta nun?
Yes, sure.
What's the yes. What's the result of that type of type of study strategy?
Procrastination. I want
Pro-
to.
Oo, procrastination. Generally, kapag exam, wala ka talagang matandaan, 'di ba? Ayun. So kapag you feel fear with a certain subject, and ganito talaga yan, guys. If you feel fear about a certain subject, for example, math, or science or AP or any type of subject which you feel is both hard and something that you cannot grasp and natatakot ka talaga, you have like you cannot process any information about those subjects. So it's not gonna be uh responsive, it's not gonna be accessible to you at all, which means that you're not gonna learn anything. Right? So I've experienced that before. When I was in high school, I really had a hard time with math. I was afraid of math. And ngayon, obviously nahihirapan ako. I still have some fear, right? But I'm still studying. So I'm because it's really interesting. If you just have the right tools, right? Just look for the right tools. Titingnan lang, like find a way to make it less of a fearful feeling for you. Associate the subject with positive things and things that you might have fun with, right? Or feels natural to you. So obviously that's gonna be a hard job. And sometimes it's gonna be a hard job, especially if you do not have people to guide you. Some people are lucky because they have teachers that immediately know how to make the subject enjoyable, diba? And easy. But sometimes you have to do it by yourself. Right? Most of the time, you have to do it by yourself. And it's a challenge as well. And it's also a journey that could be enjoyable for you. Ayan. I'm not blaming my teachers at all because they were really great teachers. But at the same time, this people, kasi I went to Pisay, and these people, they really had advanced. Parang hindi sila teachers. Yung kanilang training is more of researchers, more of like scientists. So sometimes hindi talaga magtra-translate 'yon na as easy as explaining concepts to students, 'di ba? So if you have a higher level of proficiency and hindi kayo na train to make it more fun, make it more accessible, then sometimes it could be really hard for the student. Ayan. So yun lang. So you have to find a way to look for alternative sources, pwedeng sa YouTube, right, which usually is more accessible, pwedeng sa ibang sites, pwedeng apps. And I will show you an app later that you could use for your science subject. Ayan. So ito yung example ng isang test. Ayan. Ito yung binasa ko kanina sa inyo. Again, pinakamababa tayo sa math and sa science. The average for reading literacy was 487 for the OECD countries, 340 lang tayo. And for science, we have 489 for OECD countries, while 357 lang tayo. So those are like uh point differences of around 140 plus, right? So more than that. And then I don't know. Basta you also have 489 para sa math and then 353 lang sa Pilipinas. So generally mas mataas yung pinakamataas natin is sa science compared sa math and sa reading comprehension. If you look at the reading comprehension courses, talaga makikita natin the OECD average is the lowest still because it's really it really takes up a lot of time kasi nakalagay doon yung essay na questions talaga. You have to really practice and to be patient. Ayan, pakita ko yung yung isang question. This is a 2015 and if you want you can also access this one. So eto, this is like one test question running in hot water. And this is an actual test question that they had in the 2015 na PISA. So ayun, medyo mabagal siya. Pero wait lang. So it's an interactive kasi computer-based actually yung exam na ito, and the reason why it's computer-based is because of this. First one, they actually explain to you the elements. Para siyang ano, it's like what an actual scientist does, but it's simulated. Yan. Pakita ko muna sa'yo. This is the question I tried to answer. Wait lang. Ayan. Makikita natin, running in hot water. The simulation is based on a model that calculates the volume of sweat, water loss, and body temperature of a runner after a 1 hour run. And makikita natin, the introduction has this one, oh. You can adjust certain variables. Air temperature, you could go 20, 25, 30, 38. Air humidity, percentage of air humidity, 20, 40, 60. And then drinking water, whether this person drinks water or not. Ayan. And you can make him run. After that, you generate a data set. Ayan. Oh, magkakaroon ka ng data set sa ilalim. And from that, you are actually asked to interpret this data set using what you know about the relationship. Titingnan mo lang yung relationship. So for example, this one guys. This is wait lang. Okay, medyo mabagal yung internet natin. Wait lang. Yan. Okay. This one, pakita ko lang. Uh, First, a runner runs for an hour on a hot and humid day with an air temperature of 35 degrees Celsius. So your exam is gonna ask you to adjust. Sabi niya 35. Lagay mo sa 35. And then humidity of 60%. Ilalagay mo sa 60% without drinking any water, right? So drinking water, no. Okay, the runner is at risk of both dehydration and heat stroke. So you look, run, di ba run? Kasi makita mo yung indicator nga, nag-explain sila yung indicator ng dehydration is your water loss, and then indicator for heat stroke is your body temperature. And the data set actually shows you that. So you could see that the body temperature for this person is 40.5 degrees Celsius, and makikita sa instrument sa taas yung temperatura na above na siya, 'di ba? He's above 40 degrees, right? So he's very much in danger of heat stroke. Nakita natin at risk. And then yung water loss niya is above 2%, right? Which means that he is in danger of dehydration already. At makikita natin sa data set. Sabi niya, what would be the effect of drinking water during the run on the runner's risk of dehydration and heat stroke? So what you do, you just adjust. Instead of not drinking water, you make the runner drink water. And then you do the run, and then you look at the data set. So there is no difference sa body temperature. 40.5% pa rin yung body temperature natin, while the water loss has actually decreased. So from 2.5% water loss and 0%, makikita din natin sa instrument that hindi na siya dehydrated. From that data set, you are asked to look at the correct answer. So first one, drinking water would reduce the risk of heat stroke but not dehydration. Okay, that's obviously not correct because your body temperature is still the same, right? So the next question, drinking water would reduce the risk of dehydration but not heat stroke is probably true because water loss has decreased, or percentage of water loss has decreased, while body temperature is still the same. So you click that answer, and then, ayun, magkakaroon ka ng, eto yung kanilang pag-judge. Kung ano, very comprehensive din. Ayan, so makikita natin, competency interpreting data and evidence scientifically. It's not just a question na how much is 40 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit. It's not just like that. It's an act. Okay, sige. What do you think of this ano? Sabi niya, to get full credit of the students, drinking water would reduce the risk. Ayan. Yung difficulty level na to guys is level 4. Yung sa Pilipino, level 2 lang yung ating maatin. And 20% of our students, yung pinaka 20% of our students attained level 2. Syempre may mga outliers. There are probably Filipino students that attained level 3 and level 4, but syempre yung pinakamataas is level 1 and level 2. So this one is something that most of the Filipino students could not even manage to answer. Okay, what do you think of this type of test question? Do you like this better? What do you think of this?
Wait, sir.
Ha, name. Okay, why do you say so, Franz? Bakit sinasabi mo mas maganda siya na test question?
Kasi may lumalabas na information, sir, kung may gusto kang papalitan or something gano'n.
Oo, 'di ba? And nalalaman mo din yung principles eh kasi 'di ba? Parang ganun talaga yung kapag scientist ka, eto talaga ginagawa mo, 'di ba? Correct? 'Di ba? You actually look at data sets, and then from that data sets you derive certain hypothesis, which is what this test question actually asks you to do. And from that makikita natin you're trying to interpret data, the competency is hit, and evidence scientifically. And this is a bit fairer to students that might not know 'di ba yung mga bagay na yung mga factual na bagay, but they know the relations, 'di ba? How to manipulate variables, which is something that, or to interpret data just from generating it, which is something that scientists actually do. So this one is a bit fairer, and at the same time, this one really measures how good you could become as a scientist. Um, sa Pilipinas, this could be modeled through lab experiments, but there are actually apps na gumagawa din neto. Hindi lang kinakailangan or hindi talaga lab experiments yung required. So we have this app is developed by the University of Colorado Boulder, sorry, University of Colorado, and this could be actually found in the App Store. This is PHET. um, this is an actual site and an app that you could use for modeling your experiment. So parang ganun din. Nag-ano ka lang, you're just gonna manipulate variables. So instead of just doing stoichiometry, right, sa molecule, some things nyo, mga molecule, you're actually visualizing the sizes of the molecule, the itsura of the molecule, the shapes or the structures of the molecule, and so on. Sa diffusion, ganun din. So, and you could adjust variables if you want to. Gases as well, you could generate the different types of gases and how they interact with each other, just adjusting the variables. For example, you could adjust heat, you could adjust, I don't know, hindi ko ba nakita yung sa gases na ito. Pero makikita nyo na, okay, this is actually good. You don't really need an actual lab. If there is a lack of lab, you could do that on your phone. And so that is what the PISA really tries to do. Okay? So using actual test questions to measure the ability of the students to interpret data, to actually conduct, hindi naman conduct, pero to model how data sets are generated in scientific experiments if you're looking at science. And if you want to look at reading comprehension, you could also do that. Eto pala sa scientific modeling, hindi lang to sa science, hindi lang to sa chem, physics, but you could also do math. So may mga graphing dyan. For example, if you want to generate slopes or if you want to generate parabola, you just enter the numbers. And after that, you could get like an actual itsura, diba, of these things. So you don't need to do that on paper na lang, which is really useful kasi you could just manipulate the variables if you wanted to. Yan. This is selling for 49 pesos sa App Store, but there is a free version sa App Store din. Pero yung official na version is 49 pesos, and you could buy that through load. Ayan. If si Rob, kapag gusto mo to buy this, you can with that load. Yan. And the last question, sorry, I'm just gonna finish this question. Sorry guys. Eto, are companies willing to hire senior high school graduates? This is from the study. Tapos sinabi dito na the students, you can just click this study later if you want to. But ito yung sinabi nila na yung mga estudyante daw na sa senior high school, they still believe that they need to take college so that they could actually get some jobs. Ito yung kanilang plano. I'm just gonna show you their plan. Sorry. So they surveyed 37 schools through qualitative interviews lang kaysa wala pa silang data talaga na quantitative. And then eto yung kanilang sinabi kung ano yung gusto nilang gawin. Sabi ng mga students from both academic track, go to college, work and study yung most of them. Okay? So they're still planning to go to college and to work. But then sa get a job, kasi 'di ba yun yung isang promise ng senior high school program,
24.2% lang. Ibig sabihin, hindi pa sila kampante na magkakaroon sila ng trabaho sa senior high school. So, kailangan pa rin ng additional na education so that they could actually get a job. On the perspective of the employers, we'll look at the perspective of the employers. Sabi nila, yes, they are willing, yeah, they are willing to here. When asked if they were willing to hire students, almost all of the 26 firms answered yes. So they interviewed the HR, human resources persons of these firms, from the agriculture, from tourism, from manufacturing, and so on. Pero sabi nila, dapat may certain requirements. The preconditions for hiring needs to be required competencies and specialized skills, improve work immersion, and offering only low positions. So for example, eto, sa SHS graduates, kailangan nila ng specialized skills by the industries. Bago sila mag-hire ng SHS graduates, for example, is sinabi for example ng isang hotel, dapat alam ng applicants kung paano gumamit ng isang program, opera system. Yung iba naman, sinabi nila dapat marunong mag-computer, carpentry, construction, painting, and quality control. And then yung iba sinasabi na, sige, we're willing to train them, but they should have learning and innovation skills and communication skills, and they should be confident, mature, and have a sense of accountability. So, aside from that, you also have, they also want to have TESDA, national certificates for the students. So, it's better daw, and they would be willing to hire more if magkaroon ng NC. Yung NC are certificates offered by TESDA for certain skills training, such as housekeeping, automotive, ganun-ganon, and you could get them for 6 months, 3 months kung minsan. And then aside from that, dapat daw yung hours of immersion nila mas longer. So sa senior high school program, the required number of hours is just 80 to 120, but the firms require or are willing to hire students that have 300 to 700 hours of immersion. Kapag immersion, ibig sabihin internship. Nag-train ka sa isang kumpanya or nagkaroon ka ng on-the-job training sa isang kumpanya at nakapag-stay ka doon for 300 to 700 hours. Okay, so that's a very, very long time. Ayan. And at the same time, yung positions that are only offered are lower. At ito yung mga positions na yung pwede lang na available. So yung skill level 2 and 1. For example, sa isang manufacturing firm, yung pwede lang nilang ino-offer is driver, utility maintenance, messenger, warehouse helper, delivery. Pwede din sa skill level 2 kapag meron kang certain skills, technician, electrician, ganon, welder. Pero they still prefer college graduates compared to senior high school graduates. Ayun, in general. So, ayun, low-level skills, you need to have lots of work immersion hours, and at the same time, you should have, or you should at least have some NC or national certificates from TESDA and other specialized skills that the industry requires. So it's still like college level, guys. Ganun din sa college, you need these skills as well to be able to get a job. Okay, sige. Sorry for taking a lot of your time. Do we have any questions?
None, Chair.
Okay.
Chair.
Okay, sige. So thank you so much for listening. Goodbye, everyone, and hope you have a good day.
Bye, Chair.
Bye, Chair.
Sir.